The holidays are coming up, and that means food and family and gifts. How about finding some unique products and services by buying local? Next on Show Me Ag. Welcome to Show Me Ag. I'm your host, Kyle Vickers. Thanks for joining us. Well, the holidays coming up, folks are looking for exciting ideas for foods, for gifts, and for family get-togethers. Buying local can fit the bill with the added benefit of supporting local farmers and economies and still provide the unique experience that sets your celebration apart. Our guest tonight is Sue Baird, the Executive Director of the Missouri Organic Association. She's a local grower as well and has some insight into where to find the best products to fit your needs. So you've been doing this for a few years. This buying local thing is really becoming quite a deal.
Isn't it exciting to see those of us, including you, that worked on local foods for 15 years, and it has now become the norm. So, yeah.
You travel all over the country. Is this something that's kind of sweeping the entire United States?
You're exactly right. I travel all over the United States. I am actually an organic inspector, so I see a lot of farms, a lot of communities, and people are becoming concerned about where their food's coming from, and they're just overwhelmingly buying into the concept of buying from the local farmers.
You really specialize in organics, and we want to come back to that maybe a little bit later, but it doesn't have to be just organic products, does it?
Not at all. Not at all. Just knowing the farmer that you buy from is so important in today's world.
And you mentioned earlier, knowing where it comes from is an important issue as well.
Yes. Yeah, if you notice, I was reading on my cell phone driving over here, which you should never do. Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. But reading, CNN with this food outbreak with Chipotle's in Washington and so many people getting sick. And the reason why is because that food travels so far. It may just have a very small, one little colony of E. coli's, but by the time it travels so far, it has time to grow and exponentially populate, and then we have the foodborne illnesses. So
there can, by buying local, you can be assured of where it comes from, and hopefully be assured also of the health and well-being of the food that's you're eating and where how it was raised.
I think the most important thing is that you as a consumer need to be networking with that farmer. You need to be asking some really important questions. How do you grow your food? Do you use raw manures? In this case, the E. coli would have been raw manures. And just ask some good questions.
Well, I know there's a lot of folks here in mid-Missouri. We recently traveled to Fayette, Missouri, where neighbors have formed a tight-knit community where consumers can get to know their farmers and see what goes into raising their food and what their families eat.
We're at Bluebell Farm in Fayette, Missouri, and what we do is we have a grass-based, holistically managed farm with an event center in the heart of it. We provide food to the local community as well as the events that are hosted at the event center.
Our philosophy on the farm is basically to try to stay out of the way of nature. I guess let nature run its course and react to it rather than trying to force nature to do something. An example is with respect to where the waterers are for the cattle. They're at the top of the hill. The animals go up and get a drink and make deposits, and gravity lets all that nutrition roll back downhill.
Mainly we're a cow-calf operation, and we keep our calves until harvest. So we also background and finish. We do that with no grain, but it's 100% grass-based. And then we practice holistic management, which means that we are always looking at the entirety of the farm, not just one aspect of the farm. So when we do something, we want to make sure that it is good for the water, the soil, the air, the community, and all the ecosystem processes that go into that. And we try to farm for 100 years so that the things we do will sustain this farm for another generation. We are not certified organic. However, we practice organic principles such as composting, planting cover crops, things like that, so that we're trying to build the resilience of our ecosystem so that, when drought or too much rain comes, that we have the capacity in our soil to cope with those things.
It's an interesting time for small farms right now. I think it's exciting. I think they've got a lot of potential, and I think anything, sort of the more diverse it is, the less dependent it is on any one component. Certain things will do better than others. It's a farm, you've got weather, you've got animals and crops, and it's a complex equation of successes and failures, and you can do everything perfectly right and have great weather, but the prices of whatever it is you're growing elsewhere can affect that, and it's tough, but there's a whole, there's 90 million millennials entering the workforce now, and they're smart and they're excited, and they've got all these technological tools at their disposal that they use in really creative ways that hopefully, if we can get some of those younger creative minds out here to the country to help kind of reboot the small family farm model, I think it'd be great. At the barn out here, we tried to balance rustic comfort with modern convenience. Barn weddings are a popular thing now. We certainly hope it stays that way. We're trying to branch out into other categories like corporate events, and having the various universities in the area host things out here. We're tooled kind of for parties of about 150 guests. We host about 20 to 24 weddings each year, and we're lucky to get to meet a whole lot of different people each weekend, and it's fun waking up on the farm and thinking about all the other generations of family who have been out here, and that we're just kind of stewards along the way, doing our best to keep it going and keep it in the family.
Our customers appreciate the fact that they can come to us, ask us questions, see, check out the animals in the farm for themselves, and then bring home a product that they trust and that is healthful for their families. We try to tailor our production to what our customers are asking for, and so we can be very responsive to their special dietary needs or their wishes. We can raise the breeds of animal that they prefer and use methods of production that align with their values. It's fun to get to know your farmer and for your farmer to get to know you, and they can put a face with who they're producing for. Because when you're out on the farm and you're hanging out with animals, a lot of times it's easy to focus on just the animal, but the entire reason we do this is for our customers. And so when you can participate in their children's lives growing up, and as the kids go to school or they go to college or they get married and they have children of their own, it makes the farming experience that much more rich and enjoyable to have that community built around it.
We share ideas with folks who come out, and they point out things to us and that's great advice, and they see things that we're doing that sometimes they take back to their place, and we're lucky to have a lot of people, just to meet a lot of different people and exchange ideas. It's the old kind of community town hall type of situation each week.
We try to be good stewards, and then we try to be good community members as well. The farm is part of the community, and the community is part of the farm, and so without one you don't have the other. It's important to us to be good neighbors and good stewards equally.
Our thanks to Derek and Laura of Bluebell Farm. If you'd like to learn more about their grass-fed beef and turkeys or their unique event space, you can find them online at the address below. Sue, they did a great job.
Yes, they
This
did.
is really just an example of things going all across Missouri and really all across the country. Those turkeys will probably be on somebody's Thanksgiving table. Let's talk a little bit about what kinds of things are available in Missouri. People don't normally think of Missouri as a great produce state, but there's a lot being grown here now, isn't there?
There's a lot of produce being grown. Several farmers actually are doing winter CSAs. I know Liz Grasnick over in Columbia does a full all winter long. Several people in Kansas City area, I'm not sure anybody in Warrensburg, but Springfield's got several that are growing year round. So yeah, you can always get produce, but you can also do other things, as you saw here. The people who are doing the grass-based beef and grass-based, pasture-based hogs for get your own natural, free ham from these people. There's also a lot of value-added products in Missouri, jams and jellies and sauces and all kind. Anything that you want to buy would be available local.
You mentioned CSAs. Explain a little bit about the concept of a CSA.
CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture. It's a concept where the buyers of that or members of that CSA actually put their money into that farm. You have a lot of young people who may not have startup monies. So you as a consumer say, I will buy into your farm, and once a week then I get all your produce, all your meats, eggs, whatever, and it's delivered straight to their home. So it's back to the basics.
I hadn't even thought about this, but I just recently learned that there are a number of people doing a CSA where you can give that as a Christmas gift to someone else, and they get a basket of produce year round.
That's an absolutely wonderful Christmas gift. You're not just giving one time and it's gone. You're giving a year-round gift.
And of healthy, nutritious food that people are going to continue to enjoy.
Exactly.
Is this something that everybody has to go out to the farm? I understand some of the local grocery stores in Columbia and other places are carrying local food and local food baskets and so on. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, that's become very, very popular. A lot of the grocery chains are doing that. And I don't want to leave any out, but I'll name a few for sure. In Columbia, Clover's and Root Cellar are very active in doing that. I know statewide and even regional wide, Hy-Vee is buying from local, and they're putting together baskets of the local farmers' stuff. Hen House in Kansas City has been active in buying local for, I don't know,
Many
10
years,
years
yeah.
probably, yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of local interest, and the grocery chains are beginning to see that, and so they're buying into that concept as well.
Because the demand is there, and so they're meeting that demand. You mentioned the other products. I know the Agri-Missouri program, which we've had on this program before. The Agri-Missouri program through our Missouri Department of Agriculture has a wide variety of products that are locally grown and or like you say, value-added products.
Yeah, and good point. And they have a website you can just go on, and they actually have a listing of their producers who grow all these varieties of products.
And you can find those people all over the state of Missouri.
That's exactly right.
You mentioned jams and jellies. Another one is various kinds of drinks, wine, and you mentioned somebody the other day that was making elderberry wine.
Yeah, my friend Gary Littrell up in the Mexico area, and they're growing all their own elderberries. And they've networked with several farmers that are doing this, and they're making elderberry wine that, I'm sorry, it's to die for. Yes, it really is. But just elderberry juices and all of those things. So elderberry is a native Missouri Ozark crop, so it's kind of fun to see that as coming back. I'm actually interested in the pawpaw right now because, again, it's a local native Ozark fruit, and it's been neglected for a lot of years, and University of Missouri and University of Kentucky are doing a lot of research into the health benefits of pawpaws. So,
all kinds of things that we're just trying to find out, that native products that have a lot of value nutrition.
Exactly.
You mentioned the Luttrells. They also are big in the poultry business, right?
Yes, the Luttrells have now become the #1 producer of free-range, and they are certified organic poultry. And they take that to a certified plant, and they're processed, and they're selling their free-range broilers.
And that is available in Hy-Vee in Columbia, as I understand.
That is available Hy-Vee. It's available in some of the restaurants there in Columbia and at Clover's. So yeah.
Some of these products may be a little bit different than buying canned sweet potatoes and so on. Is there help available for people that are maybe not used to getting this fresh produce?
There are a lot of places that are teaching growing and also preparing your foods. I know University of Missouri is doing some work on that. The Missouri Organic Association always has classes at our conference. We bring in top chefs and they do cooking demonstrations on how to prepare. Because you're right, people have forgotten how to prepare fresh food that they have to cook. So it's back to teaching and education.
It's so easy to buy it already prepared for you that it's hard to go back to the basics in it. I know the Farm Myers, who we've also done a show with, she actually has a website with recipes on it for some of their fresh produce.
A lot of farmers are doing that now.
What kind of gift ideas can you think of for people that might be looking at trying to buy local and for their family and so on?
Oh, I just think it would be beautiful to put a basket together that's got all the varied, some fresh eggs, fresh fruits, fresh, and then maybe some sauces and all kinds of things. So yeah, just make it a varied basket, which is what you would do if you went to a grocery store.
So I kind of know your career. You kind of started off in more what I'll call traditional agriculture, and you've evolved over the years. What do you see as the reasoning behind all this, and your transition, as well as the transition of people from something that's maybe the more processed, big commercial, corporate, to the local and fresher and so on? What do you see as the big driving force there?
I think people are becoming aware, as I said, the health issues that are associated with food that has to travel 1,500 miles. People are becoming concerned about large CAFOs, confined animal facilities. They're seeing a lot of health issues, antibiotic resistance, all these things. And as well as people are really concerned about their environment. Probably for me, this was one of the reasons I switched into it, is because my grandmother's Cherokee Indian, and she always told me to reverence the earth. And as you're right, I went into the conventional agriculture scene, but as I become educated about the organic, I said this is right, because we really can preserve our earth, we can preserve our communities. I travel everywhere, I see small communities dying, I see families being broken apart, and our young people who would really want to stay on the farm just cannot see how they can afford the $250,000 for a combine. I heard that figure the other day. I was quoting 100,000. They told me I was.
Yeah, it's too cheap.
Yeah, too cheap. $250,000, and so they cannot see financially how they can actually stay on that farm. And this local movement gives them hope that they can stay there and actually make a good living. For instance, Gary was telling me his son Eric has come back to the farm. And he was the one who started this chicken, and they also do pasture-based pork. And he said, "So we're making money," which is what it's all about. So
let's talk about the economics for a minute. Let's talk about it from the farmer viewpoint. Can a family start off small and actually make a living or supplement their income by growing for other people? Is that even possible in today's world?
Oh, that's a good question. We still have a whole lot of farmers that work off the farm to support their farming habit. But as we learn to adopt the techniques, as he was talking about, the 21st century farming techniques that are actually being out there now, and incorporating that into our farming model, then I see a huge potential for farmers to actually be able to stay on that farm and make a living and not have to go off the site.
Well, let's look at it from the consumer's viewpoint. I know in the past, my wife recently visited Whole Foods to find some, and she had heard it described, and apologized to them, but whole paycheck. It seemed a little higher.
Right.
I know it's got to be a little higher in some cases. How economical is it to be able to buy this fresh produce and to buy this higher quality product that you're talking about?
Well, I think we need to compare apples to apples. What you were talking about was a corporate organic retail store that, and every time you have to move up a step, you go to your farmer, and then that goes to a distribution chain and warehouse, and then that's distributed into the retail or into their distribution and then into the retail stores. Every time you add those layers, you're adding more money to that product. And if you buy directly from the farmer, you don't have to go through all that. So you'll find many times that the farmer who goes to farmer's market or whatever, their prices may actually be, if you compare, many times are cheaper than if you go to Walmart.
Because you're skipping out all the middle people.
You're skipping all the middle people, right.
You mentioned a thing about adopting technology. I know you've got a new project that you're very excited about, more in the Springfield area, but can you tell us a little bit about your farm that you guys are?
For many, 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 many years now, MOA, Missouri Organic Association, and I have dreamed about establishing a training center. And that's because these technologies, we have lost the knowledge of how to do. Our Chivalry, and we're naming it Chivalry Fields because it's the marriage of God's blessed earth and 21st century technology. And we really are going to be doing some cutting edge just things there, bringing people in and train them. We're putting in a huge aquaponics center. We're putting in greenhouses with LED light that's specific just for this stage of life of the plant. Water catchment systems, recirculating to save our water, which is going to be the next battle is our water. So all kinds of new and exciting things. We're using biochar to heat, solar panels, and so we will be doing 21st century technology, and we'll be training people right there on hands.
This is not going backwards to the old days. This is really moving all this forward into the 21st century and all the technology that's available.
That is exactly right.
One of the most exciting things about that, I think, is not only the opportunity for training, but you've got a ready market for the produce that you are going to grow there. Is that true?
You're exactly right. We do have a ready market. We've already contracted. We haven't even got the farm up and going. We've already contracted all the food. That's the way you need to do it. You really need to know what your consumer wants and produce for that consumer. And too many times we as farmers say, well, I've got this, buy it. So that's one of the things we will be training on business planning as well. But we have already pre-sold all the vegetables, all the fruits that we will be able to produce, and it's hundreds of thousands of pounds of fruit using all this 21st century technology, but it's all pre-sold to the hospital, Cox Hospital specifically. They're going to be using them in their maternity wards and in their cancer victims because they recognize that, can I say in out? It's hard to heal somebody if you're still giving them the same kind of...
I think this is fascinating that a hospital is taking this step, and I know there's a couple other places in Missouri and other places as well that have where the hospitals are adapting this new move to local food because they're wanting organic, fresh produce, and that's how they're changing over to their patients and in their cafeterias. Yeah,
people are becoming aware and educated in our hospitals as well, that we really do need to be serving, and not just organic, but nutrient-dense foods. And you can be organic and still not be producing the foods in such a way that it's got condensed all those vitamins and minerals that the body needs to be able to grow and go.
And you've got a big event coming up in February that we want to talk about. We may come back and try to talk about it later, but tell us a little bit about your meeting in Springfield this February.
Right. The Missouri Organic Association, this will be our fourth year in Springfield for an organic conference. It started out with 20 people, and we're now up to last year we had over 800 people. And it's become regional. We have people coming not only from Missouri, but Arkansas and Nebraska and Kansas and Oklahoma, and they're coming in to learn. We run 6 workshops concurrently during the day, 3 days in a row, so we'll be addressing. Our main thing this year is healthy food and healthy bodies. And Dr. Arden Anderson, who speaks all over the world, he's a DO doctor, he is a PhD soil agronomist, he's a flight surgeon and a colonel in the Air Force, so he's got a lot of letters behind his names, but he speaks all over the world addressing that very thing. Healthy food, healthy bodies.
And is this conference open to everybody?
Yes.
If a casual visitor wants to come, is that okay?
Oh, we welcome everyone, and especially on our Saturdays when we do tailor our conference more to the consumers, someone who just wants to grow right there in the backyard. Saturday's the day for that. But we do have a website, and we will have the agenda up so that you can look at it, see what ones. You don't have to be there for the full time. You can come for even one class if you want to. And just walk in and say, man, I want to know how to grow mushrooms. We're having a mushroom. I want to know how to grow all those beautiful mushrooms. And so you say, okay, so then I'm going to go to the mushroom workshop.
Well, I hope that people during the holidays will really take this to heart, and it'll help the local economy. It helps the local farmer, and maybe your family eats a little healthier and better as well. So maybe that'll be the Thanksgiving dinner that we say thanks over. So
yes, thank
Sue,
you.
thank you very much. I'm afraid that's all the time we have for tonight. I'd like to say thanks again to Sue and to Derek Bryant and Laura Cordy of Bluebell Farm in Fayette for taking time to visit with us as well. And we'd also like to thank you, our viewers, for tuning in to Show Me Ag. We hope you'll tune in next time for another look at a topic touching rural Missouri. For everyone here at CAMOS and myself, good night. We're also very interested in what you have to say. So if you have feedback you'd like to share with us, you can email us at showmeag@camos.org or find us on Facebook.